The storm hits. The monsoon rains of 2025 were relentless in Noorpur, a small village nestled along the Indus River in Punjab, Pakistan. For days, the river roared, swollen and angry, until it broke its banks. Mud houses crumbled, livestock vanished, and the village's narrow streets became raging streams. Panic gripped the air, thick with the smell of wet earth and fear. Aisha, a 25-year-old schoolteacher, stood under a leaking tarp, her dupatta soaked, her heart heavy. She'd been checking on her students' families, but the flood was worse than anyone expected. Ya Allah, keep them safe, she whispered, clutching her phone, now dead from the rain. As she waded through knee-deep water, a neighbor's cry stopped her cold, Amna Bibi. She's trapped in her house. The water's rising fast. Amna Bibi, a 70-year-old widow, lived alone in a crumbling mud house at the village's edge. Known for her prayers and quiet generosity, knitting sweaters for orphans, sharing her meager pension. She was now in danger, too frail to escape the floodwaters swallowing her home. Aisha sprinted toward Amna's house, her shower caked in mud. The water was chest-high now, and debris, broken branches, plastic bags, swirled around her. She reached the house, its walls sagging, and saw Amna Bibi clinging to the rooftop, her white dupatta fluttering like a flag of surrender. Bibi! Hold on! Aisha shouted, but her voice was drowned by the storm. She needed help, fast. This is where the story gets incredible. 3 strangers, all fighting their own battles, come together for one woman they barely know. Will they make it in time? Keep watching, and don't forget to smash that like button if you're rooting for them. Bilal, a 19-year-old rickshaw driver, was stranded in the village after his rickshaw stalled in the flood. He leaned against a wall, cursing his luck. This place is cursed, he muttered. He'd been saving to leave Noorpur for Lahore, dreaming of a better life. But when he saw Aisha struggling against the current, something stirred in him. Oi, teacher! You trying to drown yourself? He called, half joking. I need help. Aisha shouted back. Amna Bibi's trapped. Bilal hesitated. He didn't know Amna well, just the old lady who waved at him sometimes. But Aisha's desperation pulled him in. Fine, let's go, he said, wading toward her. Nearby, Saeed, a 40-year-old shopkeeper, was salvaging what he could from his flooded store. He'd lost everything once before, his wife, in a flood a decade ago. Since then, he'd kept to himself, his heart walled off. But hearing Aisha's shouts, he grabbed a rope and a small wooden boat he'd kept in his shop's attic. Move, he barked, dragging the boat through the water to join them. The trio reached Amna's house as the roof groaned under the rain's weight. Aisha climbed onto a broken wall, calling, Bibi, we're here. Amna's frail voice answered, Allah bless you, Beta. Bilal rowed the boat, his arms burning, while Saeed tied the rope to stabilize it against the current. The water surged, nearly capsizing them, but Saeed's steady hands held firm. We're not losing her, he growled, his voice raw with memory. Aisha reached out, grabbing Amna's trembling hand. You're safe now, Bibi, she said, tears mixing with rain. Together, they pulled her into the boat, wrapping her in Saeed's shawl. As they rowed to higher ground, Amna whispered, you didn't have to. Bilal, panting, grinned. Had to, Bibi. Who else will pray for us? Can you imagine? 3 people who barely knew each other, risking their lives for one woman. This is what kindness looks like in the face of disaster. If this story's touching you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's keep going. They reached a makeshift relief camp on a hill, where villagers huddled under tarps, sharing meager supplies. Amna, shivering and weak, was given dry clothes and a cup of steaming chai. Aisha sat beside her, rubbing her hands. You're okay now, Bibi, she said softly. Amna smiled, her eyes bright despite her frailty. You 3, you're my family now, she said. As they cared for Amna, the trio opened up. Aisha admitted her fear of failing her students, her voice cracking. "I teach them to be strong, but I feel so helpless." Bilal, softening, confessed, "I thought this village was a dead end. But, maybe I was wrong." Saeed, staring into the fire, spoke quietly. "My wife, she didn't make it through a flood like this. I couldn't save her. But today, I saved someone." Amna listened, her presence calming them. She shared stories of her own kindness, how she'd quietly fed struggling families, sewn clothes for children, and prayed for the village every dawn. "Kindness isn't big or small," she said. "It's what keeps us human." Her words hit deep, binding the trio closer. The camp, inspired by their rescue, began to change. Villagers shared food, blankets, and stories. A man offered his last sack of rice. A child gave Amna a flower from the hillside. The air, once heavy with despair, buzzed with hope. Aisha started teaching kids in the camp, using stories to keep their spirits high. Bilal, no longer dreaming of escape, used his strength to carry supplies. Saeed organized food distribution, his quiet leadership shining. This is where it gets amazing. One act of kindness didn't just save Amna, it transformed an entire community. If you're loving this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next story. Let's see how this changes their lives forever. Months later, the floodwaters receded, but the village was forever changed. Aisha, Bilal, and Saeed remained close, meeting weekly to plan community projects. Aisha became a local leader, advocating for better flood defenses. Bilal stayed in Noorpur, using his rickshaw to deliver aid, his dreams now tied to his home. Saeed rebuilt his shop, turning it into a community hub where people gathered for chai and support. He even mentored Bilal, teaching him to run a small business. Amna Bibi, now living with Aisha's family, became the village's heart. Her prayers echoed through rebuilt homes, and her stories of kindness inspired others. The village named a small bridge after her, Amna's Bridge, a symbol of connection forged in crisis. At its opening, Amna stood with Aisha, Bilal, and Saeed, her frail hands clasping theirs. "You didn't just save me," she said, tears in her eyes. "You saved each other." The trio, once strangers, were now family. Aisha found purpose, Bilal found pride, and Saeed found peace. Their act of kindness had rippled outward, rebuilding not just homes but hearts. The camera pans over the rebuilt village, children playing near Amna's bridge, laughter echoing. What a story, right? This is the power of kindness. One small act can change lives, build families, and heal communities. Let's take this lesson into our own lives. Do one kind thing today, no matter how small. If this story moved you, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the Caring Corner with notifications on for more stories that inspire. Drop a comment below, tell me about a time kindness changed your life. Until next time, keep spreading love, and I'll see you in the next video.